Let's talk San Diego State Aztec baseball. This thing about to begin. The Mountain West Conference Tournament is in town. Tony Gwynn joins us on the Newsmaker line, San Diego State head coach, as they get ready to play to see who can qualify to go on to the regionals. Tony, thank you so much for the time. Very strange season, 21-34. I don't know, are you disappointed? Was it a dose of reality? What did you expect versus what the end result is as you get ready to play Nevada, Las Vegas in this first game under the lights?
Honestly, it's I can't say it wasn't unexpected. You know, we knew we had a young team coming into this season. I think it took a little bit longer than I thought for guys to kind of figure it out, but the last 3 weeks, I think we played our best baseball. I mean, we pitched well. We played better defense. The last part of the puzzle was offensively, and in the last 3 weeks, they've started to get going. And so I think the overall record isn't a surprise. I think we played a really tough schedule, and I think playing that tough schedule early in the year really taught the young guys how difficult college baseball could be, but now they've started to figure it out, and I think we're playing pretty good. So, going into the tournament, I think we're playing our best baseball. Obviously, TCU's the class of the conference, but I think anybody could beat anybody in this thing, and it really boils down to pitching, and our pitching has been pretty good here the last 3 weeks, and we just hope we can, get on a run and play good baseball.
You had a 2-12 stretch out of the gate, and you played a lot of big-name teams from the Garrett Coles of UCLA to Oklahoma to Arkansas. Then you had the 1-9 stretch in the conference right around April. Now you're finishing upbeat. Have you figured out how much is too much from an early non-conference schedule for your kids to bite off?
I think we have, but again, I think it's good. I mean, you want to win. If you want to have a good team, you got to play the best teams. You can't play, middle of the pack teams and expect to have a chance to, get to a regional and compete in that regional. So playing a tough competition, I think, is good. I think I've always felt that way since I've been here. But when you have as many freshmen as we had this year, and guys that are playing, not just guys who are sitting and trying to learn, guys that are being thrown into the lineup, maybe it was a bit too much to bite off. But in the sense that you're playing the best competition, I think it's good. I think, guys can kind of figure out who they are and what they need to do playing against the best teams. And I think that's really helped us here going into the conference because, our conference doesn't have any dominant starting pitching. But, when you face guys that are dominant and you get into the conference, guys tend to, especially young guys, they tend to relax a little bit. And I think that's what's happened. Our guys have relaxed and kind of figured out what they need to do. And I think that's really helped us here coming down the stretch because right now I think our guys are playing with a lot of confidence. I think they believe in themselves. I think they like winning. We've been able to put together some wins here the last few weeks, and they really enjoy that. So our guys are kind of chomping at the bit going into the tournament. They know they're at home. They know they get to sleep in their own beds at night and not have to live in out of a suitcase in a hotel room. And I think that's a good thing. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen. We played everybody in the conference, and I think they feel like they can compete with anybody. So, let's strap it on and see what happens.
Yeah, not much power on this lineup. Team batting average only .259. And not much power, just a byproduct of youth? Or has the change in the composure of the bats that they're using in college ball really impacted you?
Oh, no question. The bats have had a huge impact, not only on my team, but pretty much every team in college baseball. Those guys that can go out there and do things right in the batter's box, those guys are still going to have success. But what's happened here, the bats have kind of evened it out for those guys that don't do a lot of things right at the plate. And last year they could still have success hooking balls on the outside part of the plate and hooking them down the line. With this bat now, you can't do that. It really puts an emphasis on going up to the plate and doing things right. And for us offensively, I think that's kind of played a part in why it took so long to kind of get things going. It's because guys have to go up to the plate and do things right if they expect to have some success. And like I said, the last 3 weeks or so, they really kind of concentrated on using the whole field and trying to be mechanically sound. And so I think now they've got a better idea. They've got a better understanding of what they need to do. And consequently, we played better. So there's still some guys. There's a guy in the conference from Utah, C.J. Crone, who's probably going to be a first round draft pick next month. he was the player of the year in our conference. This guy, he does a lot of things right. And so, once again, our tournament's going to have guys that are probably going to be first-round picks, guys that are probably going to play in the big leagues. And it's an opportunity to come out and see these guys before they get to that point.
Quick comment, if you will. The top three young kids you got, Jamel Torres, Cody Smith, Tim Zier, all hitting 297 to 300. Pretty consistent. They've grown into it, haven't they?
Yeah, the freshmen, Smith and Zier, both they're freshmen. It kind of took them a while to kind of get going, but once they did, they've been on a real good run here the last 3 weeks. Jamel Torres has been pretty solid for us all year long. He's our first baseman. And, my problem with him is just getting him to use the whole field because sometimes he gets full happy. But, those three guys have been consistent all year long. Brandon Meredith, the other guy in the middle of our lineup, is the guy that teams are not going to let beat him. So, consequently, his numbers are kind of down because he hadn't really had a whole lot to hit. But the young guys are coming, and my veteran guys have done a pretty good job with this team this year. And like I said, they're excited because I think they feel like they've kind of figured it out, and they want to go into this tournament and try to play well. Last year we came in and lost the first 2 games and we're out, and this year they want a little bit better showing.
Which of the kid pitchers has come the most? I mean, I look at the numbers and I see Cole Swanson with a 3.12 ERA and Corey Black, Mitch Blumen. All those guys are sub-4s in the ERA department. That to me is pretty impressive.
Yeah, in our conference especially, we're the only team at sea level. So anytime we go on the road, you're playing in altitude. And Swanson and Black, Cole Swanson and Corey Black both have pitched extremely well for us this year. Their numbers probably don't indicate that because we got off to such a slow start, but both of those guys have been very consistent. Black's going to go for us in the first game. Swanson will throw the second game. And, and not only in the offensive end, the pitchers have come too. I mean, TJ Kanzora threw really good for us on Saturday. Ethan Miller threw on Friday. Both of them went 7 innings, and Kanzora shut them out for 7. Ethan only gave up 2 runs. So, pitch is coming. And when you get into a tournament like this, somebody's got to step up and pitch well for you. And, if we can win some games, hopefully that could be the case because I think our guys, like I said, are really believing in themselves and thinking that they could do some things right.
Tony, 2 other quick questions, and I'll cut you loose. You get ready to go tango with UNLV. First game under the lights for you in the tournament. In terms of what's going to happen to the conference with BYU exiting, with Utah exiting, TCU's going to the dabble in the Big East Conference. What's going to happen to Mountain West baseball?
That's a real good question, Hacksaw. I lay awake at night thinking about that because, about 5 years ago as a conference, we decided that, we were going to try to play the best schedule that we could play and put our teams in competition against some of the big conferences out there. And, our goal was to try to be able to get more than one team into the tournament. And that succeeded unbelievably. TCU has been the class of the conference. Those guys have, won it every year, and, they got to the College World Series last year, but with BYU and Utah leaving next year, and then TCU leaving the year after, and us adding Fresno State and Nevada, I think both of those schools will help us. But I think we're gonna have to sit down and talk about really reestablishing ourselves as a conference as far as baseball is concerned. I think in the other sports we will be fine, but in baseball, Fresno State obviously has a history of being successful, and Nevada, Reno, nobody really really knows for sure on the outside, but they're a good baseball playing school too. So we're going to have 7 clubs in the conference again, and we'll have to sit down and talk about the goals of the conference because it's about putting yourself in the best position so you can get multiple teams in, and I'm sure when we sit down, I think everybody's probably going to feel the exact same way.
Is it absurd of me to think you could do something creative and invite a Fullerton and an Irvine to be part of your thing, baseball only?
I don't think right now. I think Fullerton and Irvine feel pretty good about being in the Big West, and they've dominated that conference, and so I don't think they're going to be willing. Our conference has had some creativity when it comes to football. Hawaii's coming in and playing in the Mountain West, but they're playing all their other sports in the Big West. And BYU is going to be independent, and they're going to play in the WCC. So, it's something we're going to have to sit down and talk about. I think the coaches this summer, when we have our summer meeting, that will be the topic of conversation. Is that how do we ensure that our conference is as strong as it can be going into baseball, because I think in the other sports we're going to be fine.
Good stuff. Tony, you got work to get done. Good luck in the tournament. We'll talk again. I appreciate the time.
No problem, Hacksaw. Thanks.